How do we get on this private airplane?
Are we making good financial choices? Maybe they are. Maybe
Right.
they are. Maybe they're not. You'll never know from Instagram.
Never know from Instagram.
You'll
or
never
Facebook.
know.
Welcome to a Wiser Retirement Podcast. Are you curious about how to travel the world in retirement? I'm Casey Smith. Today I'm joined with Amy Rambo, travel advisor with Blue Pineapple Travel. Each week we bring you practical advice on retirement, investing, and planning for your financial future. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening. Let's get started. Hey, Amy.
Hey, Casey. How's it going?
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. It's good to be here.
So Amy is our, unofficial Wiser travel guru.
Mm-hmm.
Put together a few trips for me and I think a couple of clients maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah, we've had some good travels.
Everybody seems pretty happy.
Oh, yeah.
I do like telling the story though about take my family going to the Caribbean this summer. And I told you, just book me a place in the Caribbean. Tell me where I'm going. And you said Dominican Republic. And like 3 weeks later, I was thinking about, I'll get this trip coming up. And I Google mapped where is Dominican Republic. And I realized it was in Haiti.
Well, they're separate countries.
I don't know.
They don't
I don't know.
The
caddy
same.
at the golf course kept telling me, yeah, these people from Haiti just come right on over. And I said, what do you do? And he's like, well, the governor is trying to send them all back. And I was like, oh, well, it sounds like all the countries are doing that these days.
Always an experience traveling internationally.
Right.
But you made it. You survived.
It was a good trip.
You survived.
It was a good trip. But yeah, thanks for doing that.
Yeah, no problem.
And yeah, it was very nice. You just had to stay. You have to stay inside your space. They give you a space.
They make some pretty nice spaces for you to stay in. So
it was like, you went through security, and then you went through another security, and you went to another security, and they never stopped us.
Yeah,
but I noticed them stop others, so they're definitely profiling.
Well, maybe.
But I mean, I don't live there, not my country. So I was just a guest.
You're just a guest for a little while. You just get to go and be in a nice, lovely resort area, relax a little bit, and then
leave.
And then you don't have to worry about what their problems
the
are.
trash all over the highway.
Exactly.
Exactly. I think about those things. Yeah, that bothers me. But. All right. So, retirement is a great time to travel. I think it's a little cliche, although I haven't had too many families say we didn't want to travel. Our airline pilots are a little different. A lot of them just want to stay home. They've already traveled, but the wives want to go somewhere. So that's always a little different. But, it's a great time to travel automatically just because there should have been a shift in your time. Right.
Yeah. I would think that's the biggest benefit of traveling in retirement is the time aspect, that you have the time to give to longer trips, maybe more complicated trips, going and staying in a place for a lot longer than you could when you have a job that's needing your attention and maybe some, if you're not your own boss, then, you have a boss telling you how many travel days you can have, how much time off you can have.
Right.
So yeah,
we had a client do that.
The biggest.
Lake Como. She went to Lake Como. I think it was for maybe 3 months. Maybe I have to go back and look at that. But or ask her next time I see her. But yeah, she just rented an Airbnb and she just immersed herself as a local.
Absolutely.
In some little town near Lake Como and you can't do that if you've got.
No, definitely not. No, when you're kind of in you're the trenches of it, raising the kids, there's very few families that are going to take their kids and travel the world or could do that. And some of them do, but very few people are going to do that.
I mean, if you're looking to have an excuse to travel, we found a study that shows that new environments stimulate the brain. They help with cognitive well-being. So maybe if you want to fight off dementia, this is start going some places new and using your brain.
Absolutely.
I think it's like the Sudoku puzzle thing, right? It's because, my brain works hard here. It wants to be lazy other places. So I have a hard time going to new places because I don't know where my favorite restaurant is.
Absolutely.
I have to go find my favorite restaurant. And that requires thinking
and I think
discussion and arguments with spouses.
Right. And that can be an intimidating piece
Yes.
to the travel part, especially as you get older. You kind of get less excited about having to face those uncomfortable situations that you find yourself in.
Or what bus route to take.
Exactly. But it's
but according to the study,
it's good for you.
It's actually good for you.
It is. It's a good way to stay nimble and flexible and keep that brain health, that emotional health to kind of, and rather than retiring and getting stuck in your ways, that adding some travel to the retirement plan can keep you.
And you should be in the majority. I mean, 37% of all travelers were seniors, age 60 plus. Mm-hmm. That's not quite a majority, but it's a good chunk of people.
Yeah, it's definitely a chunk.
So this 37% should be your age if you're waiting to travel. 70% of U.S. adults 50 plus are planning trips. 59% of retirees or soon to be retirees see travel as the activity they most want to pursue in retirement. Those are all things that I would say that our planners here would say. Mm-hmm. We see the advertisements of plan for your retirement, and they have some guy playing golf with his buddies, and they have somebody sailing, holding hands, and
it's one of those stereotypical. Here's what you do.
I know. We don't see that. Yeah. I don't have. I out of 420 clients right now, I don't think we have anybody that's at the golf course every single day. Mm-hmm. I don't think we do have. Well, we have Caribbean Kate, our marketing director, who lives in her boat in the Caribbean. Nice. So she's was semi-retired. We just brought her on full time now, so she doesn't count anymore. Kate just works remote on a boat.
That's really fun.
So I can't count her anymore. That's my fault, probably. But yeah. So most people though, they all say they want to travel, and we typically have travel budgets, and we'll get into this here in a minute, but. What we do in our planning session is we can actually have a separate line item for travel, because you're probably going to travel a lot between in your 60s and maybe through mid to late 70s. In your 80s, I don't have too many people.
Not too many. I would say amongst our clientele, if we're looking at retirees, it's usually people in their early retirement, like 60s, 70s. Yeah. I think our oldest client is 81. And he does a lot of traveling.
Good for him.
You're not, absolutely.
But if you don't use it, you lose it. So,
absolutely.
As long as he keeps his legs moving.
Exactly. But
is he traveling with somebody, surely?
His wife, but then some of it, she's like, I'm ready to go home. So she'll take the flight home and he'll get on a cruise and take the transatlantic cruise back home. So
okay.
Yeah, they're funny. I can talk more about them later. But I would say, and especially for some of the trips that people are saving for their retirement, it is something you'd probably want to budget in at the early years, because some of them do require more mobility. You want to be able to enjoy it more. So you want to enjoy it when you have a lot more of your health, your stamina, your excitement about being retired, and kind of get said with the brain function and things like that. To be able to really enjoy it, you want to have a lot of energy for it. So
I think that's if I could sum up our Monday planning meetings, it's not our planning, but we're looking at all the plans that we're building for the week, and our advisors will tell me like, well, this family has got to get their act together. They got to start saving more, blah, blah, blah. So it's either that kind of conversation. They don't say get their act together. No one talks like that. But the other side is they have more than what they need, but they're not doing anything. So I find myself a lot of times going to meetings saying, you guys need to get out and do something. And we had a family recently that said, we're doing it. We're going places. Well, a couple of years they weren't going places.
Yeah, I could see it being hard to kind of go from that you're saving to now we're going to
spend. Yeah. But you only spend for maybe 10, 15 years, and then it slows back down. So
then you pull back a little bit.
Yeah. I just don't want anybody getting to age 80 and looking back going, I wish I had done
Exactly.
this.
It's got to be a balance between you're using that money. And I would say for traveling early, you probably have at that point your stage, your kids have kids that then you could bring along with you. So you can do a lot more multi-generation, because those kids haven't quite left the nest yet. Right. Like the grandkids are still, they're at a good age. Maybe they're teenagers, maybe they're right out of college. They can travel with you, and they're not yet starting their families. And so you haven't quite hit them at the baby stage. It's sort of like you can catch your family at a good time,
Right.
where your kids might have a little bit of flexibility in travel and they've got older kids that you can take along with you. So we see a lot of retirees traveling either just with their spouses or with a sibling or friend groups. But then also there's a lot of multi-generational travel. And a lot of the retirees are the ones spearheading that. They're like,
Yeah.
here's where we're going to take the family this year. And they're budgeting that. And as part of their travels, where is the whole family going to go?
Right. I see that with people who don't travel like maybe internationally a whole lot. They don't desire to,
Mm-hmm.
but they'll take 2 weeks out of a year and they bring all 20 family
Mm-hmm.
members. It's
Mm-hmm.
expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
it's building legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to their favorite beach destination or mountain destination.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going to camp out for 2 weeks and
Yeah, definitely.
just build memories. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that's another way to do it as well. Obviously, I mean, there's obviously some key challenges and obstacles when it comes to travel. You can have financial constraints. Obviously, travel's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
We were just talking before we started this podcast. I know
Mm-hmm.
families that go to the Caribbean 3-4 times a year. I know what I make.
Right.
I'm like, I don't understand how people do this 3 or 4 times a year. Now, I have an entourage, so that's part of the problem. I got to chop my entourage a little bit, maybe.
And it could be the type, they're prioritizing different things within the travel. So there's,
Maybe.
There's a wide range of different types of trips that you can do. And some can be very, very budget friendly, where you're maximizing all the points and the things and
I don't know.
doing
I don't think there's anything
cost-saving.
budget friendly in the Caribbean.
But
if it's cheap in the Caribbean, when you show up, they're going to suck it out of you in tips. That's what I learned.
Or
$20 at a time.
your overall experience is going to be a little bit different.
Right.
So it's going to be a slightly different area with maybe the food quality is not quite as good or something. But all that to say, there's a wide range of different ways that you can travel. And so budgeting is a big part of it. And I think a lot of people might place different priorities on the type of travel. So I know some clients who want to do a lot of trips within a year, kind of like your friends going to the Caribbean. So they might not do maybe as long of a trip, or the resort might be more of like a 3-star or 4-star versus the one trip that has the 5-star, but they're going to go like 4 or 5 times throughout the year.
No, they do 5 times first class the entire time. I think
they're doing very well then.
I think sometimes people just don't save anything. They just think the paychecks don't keep coming. So that I'm in a position where for me, I have my own family, but then I'm responsible for feeding everybody who works in this office, right? So I just think differently about things.
Could be something about when you look on Instagram and you see people doing things. You never quite know the background of their financial health.
How do we get on this private airplane?
Are we making good financial choices? Maybe they are. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. You'll never know from Instagram.
Never know from Instagram.
You'll
or
never
Facebook.
know
That's
if they are not saving enough for retirement. But yeah, I would say definitely some practical concerns.
I will say I've never used a travel agent until I started using you.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just kind of pick a place and we just kind of go, and the cost, you kind of know what the airfare is, you kind of know what the hotel is. Food's food, right? Not always. And so you come home and say, oh my gosh, we spent so much. Where at least with you tell me this is what everything's going to cost. If it's all inclusive, then obviously that's part of that. So that helps. I mean, we're planning a trip now for our family for Christmas, and I have an idea of what that outlay is going to be. Meals aren't not included, so I have got to eat that. But it helps understanding what your ballpark costs are going to be when you have a travel agent who can build all that out for you. And I think probably my favorite part is probably the transfers, because in the past we just walk down outside the hotel and go, I think it's this way.
Right.
We start walking, and now you have people meet you and drive you to wherever you got to go, which is probably safer in this environment. And it probably saves a few spousal arguments about which direction we should be going in.
Absolutely.
So,
I would say
it's marriage saving, and it's time saving,
for sure,
and it's safer, I guess. I would say too, what's confusing to me sometimes is like the exchange? Because some of these
Mhm.
places will take dollars and some
Mhm.
people just want local currency.
Right, right. I would say definitely Mexico, the Caribbean, especially destinations where their currency maybe not it's maybe not as strong. There's usually
Yeah.
more flexibility on whether or not they're going to take the U.S. dollar. If the dollar is a lot stronger against their currency, um, and then exchange rates fluctuate all the time. So
Yeah.
we definitely have had that, and it's
How do you
um,
recommend getting local currency? At the airport, I noticed there was like a 20%.
So we recommend in most destinations. So definitely Europe, like if you're in Australia, the UK, or
Hmm.
something like that. D- Even places like a Costa Rica or something. We would recommend using the ATM once you arrive.
Oh,
So
that's
you
cheaper to use ATM.
It is. Usually you get a slightly better exchange rate. And if
Hmm.
it's a good and a safe place to do it, even not even in the airport when you arrive, but even in the city center,
Mm.
that's usually when you're going to get the best exchange rate. So not
So
using
not
a
even like
currency
your local bank before
exchange,
you leave?
not even sometimes that. And
Mm.
then the convenience factor. So if you just don't have time to go to your local bank to
Right.
then
Right.
depending on the currency, they may or may not be able to give it to you right away. So they might say, well, here's, come back and we'll give you XYZ.
Right.
So if you don't really have time for that, it's usually if you need just a little bit to maybe tip a driver,
Yeah.
use the exchange at
Hmm.
at the airport or an ATM at the
Yeah.
airport and pull the local currency. But if you can, and it's a good area to do it in, go to a city center and a bank that's in the country and pull.
Okay.
And then if you're there and you get the option to pay for something in local currency or USD, this happens a lot in
Hmm.
Europe. You'll
You want to pay
have
in US dollar?
you want to pay in local
Oh,
currency,
why?
because then your bank is sort of the one setting the price, and usually it's a little bit better. I mean, of course, maybe not
Okay.
always, but usually it's a little bit better to let your
Hmm.
bank or your credit card company make that exchange rate versus what was happening in the moment.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
on their end. So, and again, that's you know, the range of cost difference, and that's not going to be massive. If you were to have the exchange happen right in the moment or when it like
Yeah.
hits your bank or something, it's not going to be massive, but it could be a little bit of a way to make it come out a little bit better on your side because the exchange
Mhm.
rates it is
I
difficult.
know that in my credit union, they charge a fee every time you buy something foreign. It's a foreign exchange fee every
Hmm.
transaction. So
Hmm.
probably using like an American Express card, I'm guessing, is much
Absolutely.
better than.
I've absolutely. So I know people can be mixed on like credit cards and things like that. But I would say
Mhm.
in travel, if you have all you have is like a debit card or something that's going to charge you international fees every
Yeah.
single time you use it, either go to your bank or credit union and say, what version of your card can I
You're
get that's
right.
not going to have those?
Right.
Or just pull out one time, open up a card that's not going to have those. There are lots of them
Yeah.
on the market that aren't going to have those international transaction fees. And if you're going to go on an international trip where you're paying for food, you're getting a cup of
Right.
coffee, and most countries these days
Mhm.
are using a lot of cards now.
Mhm.
Especially post COVID, there's still some that are very
Cash.
cash based, but again,
Right.
this is a destination specific
Right.
conversation. But I would say if you're going to a destination that is become very card heavy, such as a European country or the UK,
Right.
you're going to definitely want one that doesn't have those transaction fees.
That makes sense.
And then, getting in touch with your bank about pulling from an ATM. Do you have a certain like daily withdrawal limit?
Mhm.
What is going to be the fee on that? Are there certain banks that they partner with internationally that wouldn't charge you as much of a fee?
Mhm.
Those kinds of things are good to look into before you go.
Okay.
Before we jump back into the episode, do you know if you are ready to take off and launch into retirement? Get your pre-retirement checklist, a free guide from Wiser Wealth Management. From cash flow to Social Security, we've got your countdown covered. Go to wiserinvestor.com/guides to download your free guide today. Now let's get back to the episode.
Let's talk about health concerns for a minute.
Mhm.
So, What if you got sick overseas? Are there plans or how does this work?
100% your best friend is travel insurance. Because even if you have great insurance here, it can help cover things that maybe your insurance company, skeezes out on because that's what they love to do.
Right.
That's just what they love to do anyway. But I would say travel insurance is your best friend for any sort of health delay, anything like that. It's just going to give you that extra level of coverage.
Do people ever do the med-vac plans? I think it's
and some of them have
$300 or something like that.
A lot
they'll come get you out of anywhere. And
that's what a lot of the travel insurance plans have. They have up to a certain amount of money for international, medevac, I guess. So like transporting you from a place that maybe doesn't have the best hospital to a place that would. So absolutely, if you're going on a safari, most safari companies actually require you to have travel insurance for that specific reason. If something happened to you in the bush, you would have the funds to be able to get reimbursed.
Meet a raging lion. Or
get yourself back out. But I mean, we had it wasn't my personal client, but on our team, they just started their trip to Italy last week, and the wife broke her foot on their very first day.
Oh no!
I don't know the exact circumstances where she was walking, what happened, but
kicking her husband.
She broke her exactly. But her foot broke, and she had to hole up in the hotel a little bit. They did not have travel insurance, and so she got hit with a €500 bill for a doctor to come to the hotel to visit her. Luckily, it was a hotel that did great. They'd never felt like they didn't have good care.
Yeah,
but they're going to have to pick up the tab. On that. So most places you're going to be able to have people who are going to help you get you to good care. There are very few places in the world I would say you would need to be nervous about health if you're going, and just know that like you're going to those places. Like, you're going to a remote place if you're going on a safari and it's going to be a 2-day drive or helicopter ride or something to get you to a city center. But if you're
I think the scary part is just not speaking the language and having the language barrier. But there's technology in our phones now that certainly helps with that.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
I think what I saw was they would just jet you out and bring you back to the States. I think that's part of a ND VIP plan, something like that is add on to that service.
Definitely. And if you have something like a condition, or we had a client who was in Scotland and had forgotten some of his medication, but they were able to get a prescription. I mean, it was a headache, and, took a good part of their day and trying to communicate like, which pharmacy do we go to pick this up? But they got it.
Yeah.
He was able to get it and continue on the trip and things. So I would say, there are all kinds of things that can happen while you travel, and your health is definitely part of that. But there are some good things that you can put undergird your experience to kind of help you along the way.
Let's talk about logistics and practical concerns. So things like senior-friendly transportation. Because you're talking with someone who, I remember I took my grandparents to Paris. My grandmother was alive. She's always wanted to go. I was speaking at a conference in nearby country and decided, okay, well, I'll fly them from Atlanta to there. We'll meet up with them, and it was a nice trip. But she was probably in her late 70s at that point, and she was walking her neighborhood to get ready to go to Paris.
I love that.
But there are steps everywhere, I felt like. So it was slow going, but it was good memories. How do you plan for that as a travel agent helping someone?
Yeah. I mean, I think your grandmother did probably about all that she could do, was just to walk and prep herself to do it. But I would say connecting you with partners, and maybe it's a tour group. So maybe you want to go with a guided group where you're going to have a tour director and porters who are going to be along with you, so you're not carrying your bags around from destination to destination. Maybe they're picking it up off the bus and taking it to your hotel room, those kinds of things.
Anything about that? Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely being able to look and research different types of trips that might offer more what we call like white glove service, where it's you're doing less of the heavy lifting, and even considering your destination of, I mean, if you want to see Paris, you want to see Paris, and there's
Right.
just going to be steps and cobblestone streets, and
Right.
because it's an old city. But if you, like we had a couple clients who are planning their trip to Africa and they really want to do a safari, and the dad's a little bit older. So he, has requested a more mobile safari camps. So safari camps where maybe the walk from the main dining area to the tent is not going to be quite as long, maybe not uphill.
Yeah.
And, obviously using us, we could get in contact with all of our partners in Tanzania and say, okay, which of these camps have the best mobility options? And so they're on the ground. They know this camp is the one that has the 50,000 steps to go up to the top of the rock where you're going to have a beautiful view, but it's not be quite as mobile, so they can connect us with the trips that the destinations they're going to be better suited for that. So I would say that's part of the planning process is sort of communicating what the mobility challenge might be, if it's significant, if it's just more of a, I just get tired. I don't want to do a 8-hour tour each day. The max could be 4 because stamina is just not there. That kind of thing.
What do people often ask you when planning big trips?
I would say we're often asking more questions of them when we're at the start of a trip. So definitely some of the concerns are where should we go if we want to go and do a certain type of trip? What would be the best kind of destination if we want to go and experience a cruise in the Mediterranean? Like what would be a good fit for what we want to do? And that's when we sort of turn things around and say, well, what kind of travel do you like to do? Do you want to have a experience where you're making lots of different stops, or do you want more days on the boat? Are you wanting to relax more? Are you wanting to maximize as much as you can to see as many places as you can? So I would say more often we're the ones asking a lot of the questions. I'm trying to understand travel style.
I just realized how difficult I am. Because I want to relax and my wife wants to travel and see things.
Okay, so that's pacing is a big issue.
I run 100 miles an hour here. I don't want to go 100 miles an hour somewhere else.
And so that's part of I would say, especially if we're talking and focusing mostly on retirement travel, that could be a conversation to have if your main travel companion is going to be
if I ever retire, probably won't, but if I ever retire,
if you ever did,
then if I ever were to do that, then perhaps I would still want to be at a good pace in that sense.
Yeah,
but,
sure. Well, then, or you might have a conversation with you and Angela, like, all right, so this year, where do we want to go? So we had a couple who live in California who retired, and they said, you know what, we have the X amount of money each year. We've talked to our financial advisor. This is how much money we want to spend each year for the next 5 years. Here's some of the things we want to do. And so they've decided on 2 trips a year. And so they've been to Mexico and they're about to go to Japan on tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
And so I would say for them, I don't know exactly the conversation they had between the two of them before they called us. But if I could go back and advise them, I would say, as you were sitting down, looking at those 5 years, looking each year, which 2 are we going to do each year? Maybe sit down and have the conversation about have we noticed over our long marriage, our travel styles, which one of us likes to go, which one of us wants to relax. So maybe we're planning one trip a year that's more of a relax, go get on the river cruise where we're not having to pack up 5 times over the next 2 weeks. And we can just sort of relax more, but still see some stuff. Or do we want to go and do that beautiful trip to Japan where we're going to go see
I think you should start a whole new. I think you should start a whole new business, and you should have travel companions. So she wants to go places. I could say she wants to go here. Let's find the right companion for her, the right personality, and off they go, and they can come back and send pictures.
I mean, we have a group of women who love to travel together. I don't know the full story of
you have to put
why the husbands never seem to be.
Oh, I know why. I see that all the time. I see that all the time. Husbands stay home.
But for sure. And
Yeah.
well, and for, say you get to retirement and you didn't want to be single, but you are maybe a
Mhm.
divorce, or maybe you're widowed and, you thought you were going to be traveling with this companion that you had, and it turns
Right.
out you didn't. I would say there are some great tour groups that
You
really
just-
specialize
You
in
ju-
that.
Yeah, you just
of
sign up as an
drawing-
individual
Yep,
and off
drawing
you go.
people who are like-minded together. I would
Probably a
say
little-
my
probably a little
grandmother
anxiety.
did that.
Really?
She did. And she
Okay.
did a few tours, and she ended up making friends with a lady who lived.
It's like
Can't
the first
remember
day
where
of
she
school.
lived.
Probably a little
Yeah.
anxiety.
Exactly.
You
You're
meet
like a little bit
someone,
nervous, but then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, wait.
These people are fine.
These people are fun. Like, obviously, we enjoy some of the same stuff because we both signed up for this tour.
Right.
So there's something there that's aligned.
Right.
Yeah, and she ended up having a really fun travel friend who they did a couple more tours after that together. And I think it gave her a lot of confidence to go to the places that she really wanted to go to, knowing that on that same tour and that same was going to be
Right.
somebody familiar.
That's
So,
cool.
um,
What destinations are most popular right now,
oh
or
my
over the
goodness.
last year?
Over the last year, Italy is very popular.
I know. Everybody I know is going to
Yeah.
Italy.
Well, I would say it's beautiful. There's a lot that's a lot of variety of things that you can do. And
Mhm.
then of course the historic, and then the food's amazing.
Just a
And
lot
the
of
people are
spaghetti.
great.
A lot
Exactly.
of spaghetti.
But not Casey.
I know. I'm
But
the worst
like,
traveler.
Spaghetti like you've never had spaghetti. It's just,
okay.
it's
You
good.
say so.
So Italy's a big one. I would say Hawaii's always very popular.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Japan, we actually had quite a number of trips to Japan. Come
What's the
through.
draw in Japan? Going to Tokyo? Like-
Tokyo,
okay.
Kyoto. Even
Oh, the bullet train.
bullet trains.
That'd be cool.
I just think the uniqueness and the quirkiness of the
Yeah.
culture of there's just some with
I've-
the
I
anime
mean,
and the
Anime, really?
just
People going for that?
interesting. Like I don't know if it's just part of the whole thing.
I've been to Tokyo, and I'll say that the bullet train is pretty cool. I did do that.
Mhm.
Um,
And then
but
of course
I
some of the
didn't
countryside
appreciate the
beautiful.
food. I was hunting
Um,
down Pizza Huts and McDonald's.
Okay. Well, some people want to go for
I
the
know.
like,
I'm a-
especially the very interesting
I'm not a
like
very-
sushi and
Yeah, I'm not a very adventurous eater.
okay.
That's you see why she doesn't want to travel with me now?
Yeah. I'm picking up on this now.
Yes,
No.
I know, right?
But yeah, Japan's been very popular. The Caribbean's always popular. We've had quite a number of people doing, like your friend who lives on the catamaran. But we've
Yeah.
had several friend groups get together, a couple friends who want to go and do a catamaran ride around like the BVI, British Virgin Islands.
Mhm.
So getting a group of friends together and having like a week where you have the chef,
Pirate Week.
the captain, exactly, and you just sort of sail around. That's been pretty popular. Maine is actually quite popular.
Everybody
I know
should
y'all
go to
did
Maine. Yeah, I worked there for a while.
before. Yeah.
Everybody should go to
Mhm.
Acadia National Park. Beautiful
Mhm.
place.
Beautiful. Out
yeah.
west, Jackson Hole,
Yeah, Done that a
Yellowstone,
few times.
very popular.
That's really pretty
Mhm.
out there.
So ski trips are very popular. Japan has great skiing, so that's also a draw.
Yeah.
Towards
I've been
Japan.
reading that it's cheaper to go to Europe to ski than it is in the like Park City and
It can
Vail.
be. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can be just
Yeah.
with the lift ticket prices and accommodations and things. It can be cheaper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess give me some tips on maximizing comfort.
Mm-hmm.
So
You sort of alluded to this earlier with the transfer. So the driver meets you at the
Yeah.
airport. I would say anything you can do that is makes the connective tissue parts easier. So you arrive at the airport. We can even arrange like VIP greet services where somebody meets you at the gate and they escort you through customs. So depending on the destination, that might be really helpful if you're not having to they may take you to a lounge and somebody else grabs your passport and goes and makes sure the officials stamp it off and things like that. And so you're not really having to be bothered waiting in the line.
Interesting.
Very nice services.
Didn't know that was a thing.
Charles de Gaulle, Air France actually is a very nice service because Charles de Gaulle is a terrible airport.
It is. Yeah. Been
But
stuck there
there's
before.
Yeah, there's a
Yes.
service where they can meet you at a gate and you get escorted to your next gate and
Okay.
whatever labyrinth Charles de Gaulle sends you through to get there.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
So, and all of this comes at a price,
Sure.
right?
Absolutely.
So But usually in retirement, that's when you sort of have more budget to
Yep.
give to these things. So maybe you're not taking as many trips. Maybe you're not taking as long of trips
Mhm.
or as complicated, but you're wanting to build into them those touch points that just make it
Yeah.
a little bit more relaxing of experience. So having a driver meet you, having a meet and greet at the airport, getting taken to your
Yeah.
um, hotel. So instead of staying maybe at an Airbnb where you have to then
You're on your own
figure
for
out
everything.
where the lockbox code is, thing like you just show
Right,
up
or
and
how to get food.
you're greeted with your welcome drink and
Yeah.
somebody else takes your bag to the room and you walk in and there's your bag already up there and you didn't
I've
have to schlep it up there.
I mean, we live in Atlanta, so obviously international travel is going to be on Delta most likely.
Mhm.
You can bargain shop and you can probably find, American, or I don't see much deals at United, but American will have deals. You had to go through Miami or up
Mhm.
through Newark. But I tell our clients all the time, you've got to spend the premium on the bigger seat. And
That's another one.
yeah,
Mhm. Yep.
you don't need to
Mhm.
be sitting in the back of
Mhm.
economy
No.
for 12
No.
hours. Like, this doesn't
And
make
we
sense
like to
me.
tell people to mix and match their
Yeah.
seats. So if you're going to have an overnight, that's when you want to have the lie flat. So
Yeah.
whatever it's going to cost to
Right.
get that lie flat seat for the overnight journey. And then when you're coming back, so again, this
Not
is
as important.
this is very
'cause
Europe centric. So you're going over and it's
Yeah.
overnight and you want to be able to arrive somewhat refreshed. So
Right.
pay the money and get the lie flat. But then coming back, you want to stay awake. Actually, you
Yeah.
want to follow the sun
Correct.
over. So then maybe you only have premium select or something like that.
But these tickets for these lay flat seats are like $15,000 right now,
Mhm.
which is crazy.
Which they can be crazy. So then if you offset it, coming back with like a Comfort Plus or
Right,
Premium
right,
Select,
right.
maybe you're not
Well, the
having to
Premium
pay the
Select
full
is a
thing.
domestic first class
So
seat with a footrest.
it's very nice seat.
And during
It's a very
COVID,
nice seat.
I rode it out west, and
Mhm.
I just as a trial run,
Mhm.
I picked that plane specifically, and I was like, okay, all right,
Mhm.
this would be great going to Europe. I don't need a lay flat seat. I don't sleep on planes, never have.
Mhm.
So I think that it's a good value,
Mhm.
and it's $5,000 instead of $15,000,
Sure.
or at least
I
right
would
now.
say,
Yeah, we're doing a trip over Christmas, and I actually found
Yeah.
it to be a lot cheaper. It was
Mhm.
like $5,000 for two,
Mhm.
as opposed
And
to
going
one.
over, the flights are they're usually about an hour shorter than
yeah.
coming back.
Yeah,
So that's the thing. I would say if you're doing anything over 7 or 8, so if you are flying to Asia, if you're flying to
Yeah.
Africa, if you can, you probably want that lie flat just because as you start to get into
You
the
just need
8, 9, 10,
space.
12,
Yeah, you need space.
13 hours, you
Yeah.
want to
And
have
you don't know who your
some-
neighbors are
some
back there. That
space.
gives me anxiety.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure they're all very nice
Exactly.
people, but yeah, I've actually sat in the back many times when I was
Mhm.
when I was an airline pilot, obviously, and those were
Mhm.
the seats that were standby seats.
Well,
Those are
and
the
that's
seats you
something
got.
too with retirement travel where
But-
you have a lot more flexibility. Maybe you plan out at the beginning of the year or looking ahead if we're in late 25, maybe
Yeah.
you're looking out to late 26, early 27. So then you can start putting trackers and find out, okay, when is Delta going to do some sort of price drop on a certain leg of
right,
or
or certain
route.
days. Just,
For
if you could
certain
be
days.
flexible with your days,
Absolutely.
that $15,000 lay flat seat could easily fall all the way
Absolutely.
down to 5, or
Right.
maybe
Mhm.
probably not 3 anymore, but
Mhm.
in the 5 range.
And if you want to kind of build your trip based on that, then you can,
Yeah.
especially in retirement, you have that flexibility of time to
Right.
say, I'm not locked into this certain time period. Unless a grandkid's getting married or something like,
Right.
sort of like, here's my year-long
Exactly.
calendar. Let me wait until that price drops because I know I want that lie flat.
Right.
The only exception to that would be if you're wanting something like an African safari that does need to be booked out like a year in advance,
Right.
Depending on the destination. But if you just want to go to like Paris and London or
Mhm.
something, and
Look for deals.
Look for deals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in retirement, you have the time flexibility to do that.
Absolutely. I'll touch on this as we wrap up.
Mhm.
When it comes to planning for travel, what we do typically is our planners are going to take what your travel budget is. We're going to add that to our wants, and let's say it's $20,000 a year,
Mhm.
you can actually, in planning, you can actually add that 20,000 a year for like a 10-year spurt or 15-year spurt. It doesn't really change your overall retirement income too
Mhm.
much. It'll drop just a little bit because you have to accommodate that 20,000.
Mhm.
But it's much different than saying this is a max you can live on until age 95, and here you are at 60 trying to plan this out.
Mhm.
And so that's how we work travel into people's budgets. We've done some plans recently, had $50,000 a year for 10 years.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
it just depends on obviously your overall financial situation, but
Mhm.
this is why you want to try to be debt free by the time you retire. This is why you want
Yeah.
your house paid off. This is why you don't have car notes. You don't have any of this stuff. So when you get there, you have opportunities
Mhm.
to do things like this, and you can do it with great flexibility with your time, but you also have the resources to be able to
Mhm.
pull it off. For the first time in your life, you'll have the time and the money, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So how that has typically and we inflate the travel by 2.5% per year.
Nice.
That's
Mhm.
kind of the standard
Mhm.
inflation. Travel. Actually, we did a podcast recently on inflation. I think travel goes up, or at least airfare has gone up by 1.8% per year for 20 years. So it's actually below
Wow.
the trend line.
Nice. Mhm.
Now, if you go when everybody else is going,
Well, that's
you,
another thing. I was about to say another plus of retirement is that you can lean into what we call shoulder season, which
yeah,
is so the most expensive times to go. I'm sorry, Casey,
I
are
know,
Christmas,
That's the only time everyone has
and the
off.
holidays because that's when everybody has
Yeah,
off. And the destinations know that the tourism industry is
yeah.
not is definitely knows that. And so if you're looking to go to like the Caribbean,
Hmm.
for example, not quite as much in Europe. They don't, I feel like it's price gouging. There are some
In Europe.
resorts. No, not in Europe. Europe,
And
it will go up some, but it's not quite as massive.
yeah.
But there've been some years looking at like Caribbean resorts
yeah.
where it's just, if you went the second week of December versus the last week in December, it's just 3 or
I've
4 or 5 times as much. And
right.
uh,
I've never been on a cruise,
oh
but when I
gosh.
think about a cruise, I think about it over Christmas break. And they show you all the
Mhm.
departure dates, and they show you the price, and it's the same ship. And
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, this one here is $1,500 per person starting in February,
Right.
but or January 1 or whatever. And then the one prior
Mhm.
is like 5 times that.
Mhm.
It's the
Yeah,
same service. I don't
because
think I'm getting
that's
anything extra.
no,
Just supply
it's
demand
just
curve.
supply and demand. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and then summer travel. So anytime kids, the majority of kids in the United States are off on a break,
Right. Correct.
then the
Things are
prices
more
are going to go
expensive.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they know that's when
Yeah.
you can
It's still hot in
travel.
August. So
Mhm.
you can still have a summer trip in August,
Absolutely. So
late
yeah,
August,
once kids, September,
September.
a lot of places, I mean,
Yeah.
it's 90 degrees today. I mean, there are a
Right.
lot of places still warm in September.
True.
And a lot of destinations that used to sort of end their seasons are extending them. So Greece, for
Mhm.
example, the Greek islands used to really kind of late September, they really sort of shut down. And it was sort of like, if you wanted to go after that, there's really not a point because the locals have left. They've gone back
Yeah.
to the mainland. But now it's extending into like November. There are some areas of it where you can still have a great trip through October. So if you have, again, retirement, you have that flexibility, you can lean into those off peak seasons
Yeah.
of travel for some of the destinations that you really want to go to.
So let's wrap up with some tips. What's some of your top tips for
Well, one of them
our
is sort
travelers?
of mentioned putting a flight Skyscanner tracker, Google Flight Alert, something, especially if you have a certain destination in mind, but you
Mhm.
have maybe some flexibility and it's not a trip that has to be decided before airfare is released. And especially since that can be such a big ticket part of the trip
Mhm.
for a lot of people. And if you're wanting a higher cabin class or something, having that. I would
Mhm.
say planning early, planning and sitting down, communicating with who you want to be traveling with. So, what trips
Mhm.
are you looking ahead to do? What is, I know bucket list is cliched, but what is on the list? Where
Yeah.
do you want to go?
Right.
And then talking to somebody early. So, if an African safari is on your list, like when really should you be talking to somebody? Probably a year and a half out from
Mhm.
when you'd like to go. If Antarctica's on your list
Yeah.
and you really want to go and do that, knowing which cruise company, which version of that trip is going to be a good fit for you, you're going to want to try and get out there early and looking at it. So I would say, especially for retirees looking ahead, being able to communicate early what your trips are, what are the places that you've wanted to go. And then I would say, think about being generous with your travel. What are trips that you can invite your kids, your grandkids,
Great legacy.
friends? Yeah, leaving a legacy. I think there can be a legacy of them seeing you travel. I know that was the case for me with my grandparents. I was in school, and so they didn't take me
Right.
on trips. They didn't I didn't get to go on the 2-week trip.
Right.
But seeing them do that and then come back and talk about it really opened my eyes. Oh yeah, you can get out there. You can go travel. You can
Sure.
Experience the world. And the world's not a scary place to go visit. I think that communicates a lot to the next generation of like, no matter, within reason, there are very few places in the world that like you can't go visit.
Yeah.
And so getting out there, showing them that can be a real good legacy to leave your family.
Yep.
So those would be some of my best tips.
Helps them see the world bigger than
absolutely.
than them, for sure. Well, thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're interested in learning more about Wiser Wealth Management, I want to schedule a consultation, meet with one of our fiduciary financial advisors. You can do so by going to wiserinvestor.com or clicking the episode notes. You can also get in touch with Amy. We have her link to Blue Pineapple Travel in here as well. Amy, what's your best email?
amyr@bluepineappletravel.com.
There you go. Have it, folks. Go book your trip now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go spend that travel budget money we set in there for you.
There's a lot of good parts of the world waiting for you.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time.